Anyone with a fear of flying will tell you that landing is the easiest part, because the ordeal is over with at that point. If it was a regular, safe flight and you were just struck with nerves, you can relax again once the craft lands. If there was a mid-air disaster and the craft is about to make an unplanned landing, well, it'll all be over when the thing hits the ground. It's the moments between disaster first striking and the final impact that matter. Those are the moments when even the most fearless flyers will be awash with terror. Those are the moments that creep into the minds of the anxious, the thoughts of the craft suddenly plunging from the sky, the question, for how long will I hear death roaring my name before it takes me? The landing is the easy part. This was unfortunately true in the case of the 2012 Carterton hot air balloon crash, in which a hot air balloon collided with a high voltage power line, the resulting complications proving fatal for those on board. Carterton is a small town in the Wellington region of New Zealand. It is here, on the 7th of January 2012, that hot air balloon pilot Lance Hopping is operating scenic passenger flights in a Cameron A210 balloon named Mr. Big. Hopping is one of New Zealand's most experienced balloon pilots and was the safety officer for the Hot Air Balloon Festival held annually in the region. It's around 6:30 in the morning in Carterton when Hopping welcomes aboard 10 passengers, mostly comprising couples. This brings the basket to full capacity and they set off shortly thereafter. The skies are clear and the wind is calm. The balloon spends about an hour drifting above Carterton before it begins its descent to land. As the direction a hot air balloon travels is dependent on the wind, a pilot must communicate to his ground crew, if he has one, where he predicts the craft will touch down, so that they can position themselves at the landing site. In Lance Hopping's case, his ground crew comprises 2 chase vehicles, tasked with the retrieval of the balloon and transport of equipment. These vehicles are also carrying some family members of the passengers, who are waiting to be reunited at the landing site. Hopping lets them know that he is beginning the descent and indicates his predicted landing location. As the balloon is coming into land, it begins to drift towards a power line about 30 feet in the air. Seeing that a collision is likely to occur should the balloon continue on this path, Hopping attempts to raise the balloon over the wires, opening the burner blast valve. This sends hot combustion exhaust into the balloon's envelope, where it expands, forcing cold air out. As hot air is less dense than cold air, the hot air balloon rises amongst the surrounding cold air. This does not happen instantly though, and there is a delay between the time the burner is lit and the time the balloon begins to climb. In this instance, the delay is too much, and the balloon fails to ascend in time. Hopping shouts at the 10 passengers to get down as the balloon collides with the 33,000 volt line. The wires catch the balloon. Hopping is still trying to raise the balloon, but it is ensnared by the power line. After about 20 seconds contact with the wires, the balloon finally short-circuits the line. 3,800 homes lose power. Electrical arcs assault the balloon, rupturing a gas bottle supplying the burner system. A fire breaks out. The delayed response from the burners now has the balloon full of hot air, and the outbreak of fire is only heating the air further. Eventually, the power line's wire can no longer hold the balloon, and it snaps, sending the balloon on a rapid ascent back toward the sky as the chase vehicles watch on from below. To escape from the rapidly burning basket, 2 passengers jump out, plunging 60 feet to their immediate deaths. The rest stay on board as the balloon blazes nearly 500 feet into the air. The fire engulfs the envelope, sending the balloon crashing back down to Earth. All aboard have died by the time the balloon makes impact. Members of the victims' families present in the chase vehicles have watched the tragedy unfold right before their eyes. When emergency services arrive just a few moments later, it is immediately obvious that all 11 occupants are dead. Even still, It takes 2 days to remove the bodies, with officers needing counselling after working into the night to recover the remains. Investigations began to determine what had happened and why. It was found that the accident was entirely preventable and caused by a significant error of judgement on the part of the pilot, Lance Hopping. It was suggested that had Hopping opted for a rapid deflation instead of trying to outclimb the power line, the balloon would have comfortably avoided contact and the disaster would have been averted. Hopping's medical certificate was found to have expired 6 weeks before the crash, meaning he should not have been piloting a commercial aircraft at the time. Toxicology analysis indicated the use of cannabis, and it has been suggested that while Hopping was probably not under the influence during the flight, the effects of long-term use may have impaired his judgment, explaining how the otherwise safety-conscious pilot made such a gross error. Regardless of how it happened, at the end of the day, 11 people were killed. Their deaths were less than enviable, and some victims had friends and family watching on. Every person who hears this story can appreciate the tragedy, but only those who have spent their last moments in the air could ever know the terror